cardiovascular system. And we're going to start by talking just about the components of blood, and then we will kind of move on to the rest of the cardiovascular system. So we're going to learn how blood flows through the heart and how the heart helps oxygenate the blood. So blood leaves the heart always through an artery, and then eventually those arteries are going to branch and branch and branch and branch and branch and then become something called a capillary. Capillaries are the smallest blood vessels in the human body, and that is where most of the gas exchange is going to happen. So oxygen is very important for the process of cellular respiration in the mitochondria to get us energy. You need oxygen and nutrients, and they're going to diffuse across the capillary wall. They enter the tissues and the cells, and then the cells are able to use that to produce energy. Now, carbon dioxide is the waste product from cellular respiration, and so they're going to go back into the bloodstream to then eventually get processed out. Carbon dioxide we're going to breathe out, and other waste products will be lost as urine. When the oxygen jumps off, so the oxygen is going to go out of the capillaries to the tissues. Carbon dioxide is going to, at that point, get into the bloodstream. So we have now what we call oxygen deficient blood, and that is going to then turn into veins, which veins then bring deoxygenated blood back to the heart. Then we're going to take that oxygen deficient or deoxygenated blood back to the lungs, where we're going to breathe out the carbon dioxide, and CO2 is then going to, oxygen is then going to enter by us breathing in, and then the oxygen-rich blood returns to the heart. So blood is the body's only fluid tissue. It is a connective tissue. We learned that in chapter 4, and it's a connective tissue because it does have that plasma matrix. So it is composed of liquid plasma and something called formed elements. And formed elements of blood are erythrocytes, which are red blood cells, leukocytes, which are white blood cells, and platelets, which help us clot our blood. And a hematocrit is basically the percentage of red blood cells out of the total blood volume. We have a lot of red blood cells because we need a lot of oxygen to be carried throughout the body. So if you were to give blood, this is what they do with the blood that you get. So you give the blood, and then they're going to process the blood. So what they do is they put it through a centrifuge, which just spins it very, very quickly. And the denser portions of blood go to the bottom. The less dense go to the top. And how it's going to separate is we're going to have plasma on the top, which is the matrix or the liquid portion. There's a buffy coat that is going to be in the middle, and that is your leukocytes and your platelets. And then at the bottom, you're going to have your erythrocytes or your red blood cells. So blood is a fluid. We all know that blood is a fluid, and it has a metallic taste to it because it does consist of iron. It has an iron component. The color varies from scarlet to dark red. The pH of the blood is 7.35 to 7.45, and we have a negative feedback mechanism that is helping regulate that. The pH is always going to be regulated by a buffer. The temperature is about 38% or 38 degrees Celsius, and it accounts for about 8% of our body weight. Now, the average volume for males is 5 to 6 liters, and the average for women is 4 to 5. And men have more blood because of the fact that they need more oxygen to fuel their muscle mass. Now, the functions of blood, it obviously is going to distribute things. It It does regulate blood vessels of particular substances. We've talked about blood calcium levels in the past. And then it protects. And the protection portion is going to come from the white blood cells. So when we say that it's going to distribute things, it transports oxygen. It also transports some waste, like I said before, that's going to mainly go to the kidneys for elimination through urine. And it does distribute hormones to certain organs that need that. Now, it maintains appropriate body temperature, and we've talked about the negative feedback mechanism for body temperature. It also helps maintain pH using the buffer systems that we've talked about in semester 1, and allows us to have adequate fluid volume because we need a certain amount of water to keep our cells healthy. And then protecting it, one, it protects us from blood loss, and it helps us to form clots when a blood vessel is broken. And then here's where those white blood cells come in. The white blood cells form antibodies so we can defend against bacteria and viruses. Now, blood plasma, the liquid portion in the matrix of blood, has all kinds of different solutes inside, and so it's carrying these solutes, throughout your body. So it carries proteins, lactic acid, urea, and creatine, organic nutrients, electrolytes, and then gases. Now, this is going to this next section will talk about the formed elements and what their function is in the blood. So erythrocytes, leukocytes, and platelets are the formed elements. Now, erythrocytes are red blood cells, leukocytes are white blood cells, and platelets are fragments of cells that are going to help initially stop blood loss. Only white blood cells are considered to be complete cells because they actually have the full cellular components. So they have a cell membrane, a nucleus, and cytoplasm. Red blood cells are the only cell in the human body that do not have a nucleus. In the nucleus, when they were being formed, a nucleus is actually in an immature red blood cell. But as it grows, it actually loses its nucleus so that it has more surface area to carry more oxygen. And then, like I said before, platelets are cell fragments. So erythrocytes, or red blood cells, are biconcave discs, anucleate, meaning no nucleus, and they don't have a lot of organelles because of the fact that, again, it increases the surface area for their function of transporting gases throughout the body. But they are filled with hemoglobin, and hemoglobin is a protein that actually the oxygen attaches to for gas transport. So this is what an erythrocyte looks like. It's a top view and a side view, and it looks like a donut without the hole being cut all the way through. And then this is what blood looks like underneath the microscope. We've already seen blood, but we didn't really know what we were looking at. So what you're looking at here, we're looking at your red blood cells, and you can see that they're the most numerous. You have platelets, which are just these little fragments of cells. And then you have these white blood cells that we're going to learn a little bit more about in class.